Okay guys, here we go. We are announcing the 2018 Enoch calendar. Alright, I'm going to move very quickly throughout this message because I have a lot of content to cover. I encourage you to add closed captioning to the YouTube features. You can see we have a number of documents here. And we're going to go through all of those. And you're going to see mind-boggling things. Okay, I'm just telling you that right now because we certainly have a lot to learn when it comes to time. Okay. Now, as we get into the Enoch calendar, there's a couple documents which I'm going to make available to you. Okay. The first of which, the Enoch calendar, is 5 pages. It starts with this one. Then the calendar has these 2 pages. This is the whole year. Okay. In addition to that, there will be pages 4 and 5, which add additional information to these 2 pages here. All right, so right here, you're looking at the whole year. So here, if you're interested in the feast, you can see the feast here, the spring feast. Blue is Passover. Blue is first fruits, unleavened bread. You have Shavuot, the Feast of Weeks. You have the fall feast. This here is trumpets, Day of Atonement, Sukkot, Tabernacles, Hanukkah, which is the Feast of Dedication, and as well we have here Purim. Okay. Now, as you get the calendar, especially guys, please print in color. Not only print in color, the main 2 things, if you want to follow this calendar, is to get this page and these 2 pages. Okay. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the format of the calendar and some frequently asked questions. Okay, first and foremost, as you can see in the calendar, the rows go in rows of 6. That does not mean that there are 6 days in a week. There are 7 days in a week. But you are normally used to a calendar with the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, are vertical. Okay, now they're horizontal. There are a number of reasons for this, one of which is if you look at this, if you look at a whole year, let me line it up for you. If you look at it, you see how it forms a perfect structure of the Sabbath. See these lines, these diagonal lines? These are the Sabbath, okay? You can see throughout the whole year they form a perfect order and structure. You'll notice throughout the information I'm going to present to you, everything is order, structure, lining up perfectly. Every season, this is a season, this is 1 month. This is month number 2 and month number 3. This is a season. So this is spring in the northern hemisphere. This is summer. This is fall. This is winter. All of these are identical in terms of starting on the 4th day of the week and the Sabbath being the 4th day of the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th month. Okay, everything is the same. Every season is identical. Okay, so what happens is you have this particular order. You have 30 days, 30 days, 31 days. So the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th month in the Enoch calendar have 31 days. The rest of the days are exactly 30 days in a month. So you can see that perfect order and structure in a season, not only a season, in a year. Now, the first day of the first month, so the first month is, month 1 is Nisan, the year starts in the spring. The first day is March 14th. Now, the reason it's March 14th is because this is year 5. We've been doing the Enoch calendar for years 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and now we are in 2018. Okay, so therefore we have done 5 years. In those 5 years, we've lost days. It's a 364-day calendar. It's just simple math, guys. If you have a solar year with 365 and a quarter days, and you have a 364-day calendar, you're going to lose days. So up until this point, we've had no leap cycle. So this calendar works off an order of priesthood, and it starts in 2014. That was our year 1. Okay, now we're in year 5. 2018 is year 5. So the reason it's March 14th as the start date is we've lost days. Simple as that, okay? I'm going to get more into the video later on about the details of that day. Now, the other thing that I hear is, when is the Sabbath? The Sabbath is the seventh day of the week. This is a week clock, okay? So you can see the time of the recording. It's day 3, okay? The seventh day is the Sabbath. The Sabbath starts, and each day starts at sunset, okay? So you can see right here, at the time it's the 3rd day, the sun is up. When the sun goes down, we enter the 4th day. So the 7th day is also the same. Now, when is that? That is Saturday. So sundown Friday, okay, into sundown Saturday is the Sabbath, okay? And that's here. Now, the Sabbath does not have intervals of anything other than 7 days. It's every 7 days. Simple as that. And this is a priest calendar, okay? So you can see that very easily, very, very clear. So you can see that the order that we have is, when you're looking at the days, they go diagonally. Now, the reason I am encouraging you to get this document is this is the one that's going to show you how to follow this. Okay, so here you're looking at a lot of information. It's quite amazing. I don't have the time to get into all of it, but the thing I want to focus on, and I want you to realize, is this circle. In this circle here, you can see we've applied the days. So it's day 3, and day 3 is a Tuesday, okay? Day 3 is red. So what I've done here is I've color-coded each day. So the first day of the week is Sunday, and you can see Sunday is highlighted in yellow. Okay, so you have yellow. Day 2 is orange. Okay, day 3 is red. Day 4 is purple. Dark blue is day 4. Day 5 is dark blue. Day 6 is light blue. And then day 7 is green. And then you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, so at a quick glance, you can see. Let's just go through an example, right quick. Okay, now it's still 2017, but let's just use this and let's just do a quick example. Okay, you can see at the time of this, it's the 3rd day of the week. Okay, so then when we look here, the 3rd day of the week is a Tuesday. Okay, now we're still in 2017. We are in month 11. Okay, so let's find our day. Our day, now I don't know when this video is going to upload, guys, but right now it's red, okay? Tuesday, okay, that's the 19th of the 11th month. Tomorrow is the full blood moon, okay? That's tomorrow, and that's going to be on the 4th day of the week, okay? So just to show you, that's how you read it, all right? So you read it by, okay, what day of the week is it? And then you can look at the calendar and see where that appears, okay? So once we get into 2018, all right, the first day is March 14th, okay? Now, what we're also doing here, you can see March 14th is the 4th day of the week, okay? So the 4th day is a Wednesday. So every day of the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th months is the 4th day. Now the reason for that, frequently asked question again, is what day of the week does the calendar start on? The reason for that is day 1, when God said, "Let there be light." So I added a highlight in yellow on day 1 because God said, "Let there be light," but there was no sun. The sun comes on the scene in day 4, the greater light and lesser light. Okay, so we equate that day, the 4th day, to time. Okay, and so then we, even though there's day 1, it divides the light from dark, we have our clock, which is our sun, on day 4. Now this is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. We're following their pattern here, okay? And that's what they said, and this we're in agreement with. Okay, so their first day is day 4. Their 4th day of the first month would then be a Sabbath, and that's exactly what we have. So the 4th day is a Sabbath. Now, other months, like month 3, 6, 9, and 12, okay, you can see day 1 of the week is a Sunday. That's the first day. Day Monday is day 2, okay? Now when we get to the 3rd month, you can see that the first day of the 3rd month is the first day of the week. Okay, so here you can see it's a Sunday, it's the 1st, so the Sunday is the first day of the 3rd month, okay? And then the Sabbath is here, okay? So the Sabbath is every 7 days at sundown, okay? Frequently asked questions, they always get these questions. All right, now there's a lot of other things about this pattern which I encourage you to get. You can see this pattern here has this clock mechanism. Now what this is this goes around once a week, okay? And you can see each day, as it goes around once a week, the day starts at nighttime, okay? Then it's sunlight, then, it goes around 7 days. So this hour hand moves very, very slowly. Each section of time like this is a day. All right. Now there's another way you can add a clock mechanism to this pattern, and you can look at it as a calendar or a clock. The only thing, I'm not going to really get into that, guys, but those of you that have followed this and you desire to do that, just get a mechanism at any arts and crafts store, and you can add this to some kind of hardboard like this, beadboard or something like that. You put the mechanism in the back inside, and then when you have this clock and you watch it regularly, okay, a lot of this will begin to make more sense. Now, I'm going to explain a few things about my journey in getting to the Enoch calendar, okay? The Enoch calendar came to me by doing some simple math, which we can see here. I wanted a priest calendar. I was studying the 24 elders, I was studying 1 Chronicles, and I began to see the pattern of 24 priests. So there are 24 priests, 24 elders, and they would appear in the temple 2 times a year. So 24 times 2 began to show me this structure, okay, of 48. Now there are 3 of the Lord's feasts that are a week long. So you have 48 weeks plus 3 weeks of the feast brings us to 51 weeks. Okay, now those are weeks, 51 weeks in the year. And if we multiply those by 7, the number of days in a week, we have 357 days. There are 3 additional feasts which are not attributed to those weeks, they're days. Now the reason there's a total of 7 feasts, but first fruits and unleavened bread fall on the same day. So we're adding 3 days. So we have 3 feast weeks, 3-day feasts, which brings us to God's order of a 360-day calendar. Now this you will not find if you follow the moon. Okay, so the Enoch calendar shows us this. Then what happens is you have 4 additional seasons added, okay, or 4 additional solar days. So how this calendar works, guys, it is a prophetic calendar of 30 days in the month, 30, 30, 30. But then what happens is on months 3, 6, 9, and 12, you have a 31st day. Those are our 4 solar days. And these equate to, these do not fall perfectly, guys, on the spring equinox and solstices, okay? They don't fall perfectly, but they represent those, okay? So I've wanted to find a priest calendar. The other thing I discovered was the pattern of the living creatures, okay? I just want to explain this real quick, okay? Now, the pattern of the living creatures in Ezekiel, they have 4 heads, lion, ox, man, eagle. When they come into a formation, 1 creature then becomes 4. But those 4 still form a structure of lion, ox, man, eagle. Okay, so for example, we can see lion, ox, man, eagle, the 4 heads. So this is their head. We're looking down, and they have 4 faces. Then when they face the throne, we have the same thing. You have lion, okay, facing the throne. You have an ox facing the throne. You have a man facing the throne, and an eagle. So their wings point to the center, and above them is the throne. Okay, so when I began studying this structure, okay, I then observed that this is not just living creatures and God's throne, it is time. Okay, so you see this pattern here? It looks like a diamond. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then I began expanding upon that. Okay, see it's still here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's that pattern, right? But then if you multiply it again, remember we went from 1 to 4, okay? And then we can go from 4 to another 4. Okay, see that? It forms the same pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, okay? So you get the point, but basically what's happened is these 4 living creatures begin to form a structure of north, south, east, west, spring, summer, fall, winter, okay? And this is God's timing, okay? Now, I went a step further, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And then I also did that here, where you can see it again. It's just smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So, this is God's order. You have 12. You have 12 tribes of children of Israel. You have 12 months in a year, okay? And then you also have 12 signs, all right? And, you know, you can see that there are additional to each sign, there are 3 other signs called decans. Now, these signs, okay, are in the heavens. God placed them there. But they do not relate to your birthday. Do not say your sign is this. That's paganism. Those are false angels trying to get you to prophesy over you false information from the stars. That's not what we're talking about. This is not about you. Get over yourself, okay? This is about the Lord. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the signs later. But within this structure here, you can see it can be a clock. You can see the time. The day starts at approximately 7 a.m. and the sun goes down. When the sun goes down, it's 7 p.m. and that starts the day. And then when the sun comes up, it's 7. You know, that's not perfect, of course. That is always going to fluctuate. Now, that's the other thing about the Enoch calendar is this is also very beneficial. This is called the Enoch key. And I have a whole nother video on this, but essentially, I want to mention a couple things about the structure of the Enoch calendar, which I found quite amazing. All right, so of course, the first month is in the spring, the month of Nisan. You could say this represents the sunlight, so day equal sunlight and darkness. Now, month 7 is Tishrei. Okay, now these are the principal months of the year with the most feasts, Passover season and Sukkot season in the 7th. And you can see that each is a day of equal sunlight and darkness. Now in Enoch's calendar, it talks about the difference here in the northern hemisphere as you increase sunlight and you go from spring, 3 months spring, 3 months summer, okay? Then you go into fall and then you lose sunlight. Then you're beginning to lose sunlight and lose it until you start again. So the Enoch calendar very clearly defines this, okay? The other thing it clearly defines is angels, okay? There are angels. The name of the angels are right here in this pattern. If you read the book of Enoch, you'll see all these angels listed in their corresponding month. Each of those months of the 12 months is each 30 days, okay? But then it says there are 4 angels, 1, 2, 3, 4, which add a day, okay? And so that gives us our additional days. So another way of looking at it is you can see month 1, Nisan, has 30 days. Month 2 has 30 days, okay? And then the 3rd month is when you add the extra day. It's 30 days plus 1, and that's this angel, and that's 31 days, okay? In the 4th month, you have 30, 5th, 30, and 6th, 31, okay? So every 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th months have 31 days, okay? And so I have a whole other video on this where it shows you the portals in the east and everything else. I'll put links in the description field for you guys, okay? But what I was looking for is this. What I was looking for is a calendar to order this order of priesthood that I was reading in the scriptures, okay? So that was my motivation. I don't know what your motivation. I don't know why you're watching this. I don't know particularly what interests you or why you're here. But I'm just telling you mine. And these are the things that I found to be quite amazing. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the year 2018. Okay. Again, I encourage you just to I'm just going to blurt off a couple of the dates. So when we have the feast, we have Passover. Okay, Passover is going to be March 27. Okay. First fruits is going to be April 1st. Okay. Shavuot is going to be, May 20th. Okay, etc. So, another thing that we have that's very interesting comes in month 5, okay? The month 5 in Hebrew is Av. So you may have heard of the 9th of Av. Now you can see we have something very interesting where we have a solar eclipse on day 1 and a solar eclipse on day 30. Okay? In between, we have a lunar eclipse on day 15. Okay? So this is very interesting, very unusual. Now, one of the things that's also going to happen in the 5th month is that the Hebrew calendar of the moon is going to share the same date in this 5th month. It's also starting on the same day. Okay, and that is July 13th is day 1 on the Enoch calendar, and it's day 1 on the Hebrew calendar. Okay, so then the 9th of Av is the same, and we have this interesting alignment in the 5th month. Now, the other thing that we are watching for in the 2nd month is the daily sacrifices taken. Okay, that's the 2nd month and 18th day. Okay, so prophetically, these are significant dates that we're watching. Okay, now another thing about this calendar is you'll see lots of information here. I'm actually gonna go through all the details of a lot of it, and you don't have to concern yourself. I'm just showing you the things, the solar eclipses, all the signs in the heavens that point to this period. Like I said, I don't know your particular motivation for watching this video or looking at this information. I'm just sharing with you this information. Guys, I did this Enoch calendar 4 years ago. It was actually a little over 4 years ago. And I never thought I would post videos on YouTube saying, hey, everybody, here's my Enoch calendar, follow this. I just was looking for something, and I shared videos on my journey of finding all these amazing signs, okay? And the Enoch said his book was for the times of the end. Thus, we conclude his calendar is for the times of the end, okay? So if you just want the feasts, okay, and you say, okay, Lena, I'm using your calendar because I believe it's right and I believe your feast days are right. Well, you can just get the calendar, you can see all the dates of the feast, okay? I'm not going to post all those. Just get this. Don't be lazy. Just get the document, follow it. I've shown you how to follow the days, okay? Now, there's the other thing about this is this particular pattern you see here. Okay. Now you can see that we've covered the blood moons. The blood moons mark the beginning of the application of the Enoch calendar. Enoch said, like I said, the calendar is for the times of the end. So the first blood moon that happened in the spring of 2014, okay, that marks the beginning of this. Okay, then we had 4 corresponding full blood moons. Then we had 2 more, and they were partial lunar eclipses in 2016, both in the Passover and Sukkot seasons. Then once we get to 2018, that's year 8 in the cycle. So we've covered 7 years. Now we're covering another 7 years. And every single cycle here, okay, remember before we were looking at this is daytime, this section here, this is nighttime. You can also look at this as a year, okay? A year begins in the king cycle, it begins in the fall, okay, and then you have fall, winter, spring, summer. So this section of time is also can be viewed as a year, okay? So then that would thus allow us to see these intervals of 180 days. It talks about them in Esther. It also talks about them in Daniel, a time, times, and a half a time. So each of these is a half a time. Now within those, you can see in this circle that the 12th month, okay, has a solar eclipse, all right? And that's falling within this window of time, all right? And then there are sequential eclipses marking perfectly 7 years, okay? Just like we had eclipses marking perfectly 3.5 years. That's the motivation behind this, is the prophetic time, okay? I have other videos. I'll get more into this, those details in other videos if that sounds a little bit confusing, okay? But again, let's just talk about the calendar basics. Get this. It tells you the day of the week. get this, it tells you the day of the week, the number of the month, and everything. Now, another thing I just want to point out is I have so much to share with you guys. I know this is a lot. Definitely put closed captioning, okay? Okay, you can see it's 2018. Now, I've also determined that the year from Adam is 6107. Okay, from Adam it's 6107. Now, the Hebrews will have another year which is altered because they don't want you to know Yeshua is the Messiah. So they have, they have something else that's like, I don't know, I forget. But anyway, I have another video on this, and it's our creation timeline. And again, we chart out and we show you from Adam this particular timeline you're looking at here. So as we follow BC AD, we have those years, but then we have all the significant prophetic years relating to the flood, Abraham, Jacob, Exodus, King David, Solomon, Babylonian captivity, Maccabean revolt, time of Christ, Martin Luther, etc. So that brings us to the present time. This video is 6106, and it's still 2017. The year is not going to change until the spring. Okay, so I just want to mention that. That's why we have that number 6107. Okay, because those are the years from Adam. Okay, now also when you get this, I want to mention the additional pages. Okay, so you can see on here, every Sabbath has a priest. Okay, and there's a month. Okay, so when this says month 1, okay, there's an additional chart which shows you more information on month 1. Okay, so you can see here we have month 1, Abib Nisan. Okay, so it tells you the month and it tells you the feasts in those months. So month 1, Nisan, you have Passover, first fruits, which is share with the same week as unleavened bread. Okay, then for that month, again, that's Passover. The sign of that month is Aries. Aries is the lamb. Okay, let's remember that the lamb opened the seal in 2014 in the spring. All right, that's when this whole thing started. Now we are going into year 5. Okay, so we have a main sign. And remember, I showed you that there are 3 other signs. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the other signs, and they're called decans. Okay, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on all this, guys. There's a book called Witness of the Stars by E.W. Bullinger. I'll put a link in the description field. If you want to know a little about these signs, they do point to the Lord. Okay, and you can see things like Taurus. There's the living creatures I showed you. Lion, ox, man, eagle. Well, the ox is Taurus. Gemini is the 2 witnesses. Okay, Leo is the lion. Okay, Virgo is the Revelation 12 sign, which many of you know. Bootes is the reaper, okay, etc. I have a lot more on here. Libra is scales. Lupus is the lamb that speaks as a dragon. You have the harp, the altar, the goat, the eagle, the man, the white horse. All that is on here, okay? But additionally on here, you have another priest course, okay? And you can see it says year 5 priest course. Now this is 1 Chronicles 25, all right? And you can see there's a priest. His name is Nethaniah. So this is the year of Nethaniah. Nethaniah is number 5 in the cycle. So he begins the year, he's the first, and he ends the year, he's the last. Okay, he's the last priest cycle in the month of Adar, in the last week of the month. Then after that, the next year will be year 6, and next year will be Bukaya. So what I'm pointing out, the reason I'm showing you this is our leap cycle, guys. In this calendar, the way we have our leap cycle is after all these priests, after the course of all these priests, there's 24 priests and 24 years. Times 12 is 288 months. After 288 months, you add a 30-day month. Now, guys, there's lots of prophecies that, the thing is, something is going to change. Something's going to alter maybe even the solar cycle of 365.24 days. I don't know. But if it does, then we will actually observe the the solar eclipse by getting out there with a sundial or something like that, because it might change. Up until this time, guys, it hasn't changed. So that's why we have the first day is March 14th. Now, let me talk a little bit about, okay, so the other common question is, okay, Leland, how did you come up with the first day of the first month? Okay, well, that was back in 2014, like I said. And in 2014, guys, what I did is I studied the Dead Sea Scrolls. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, they had something kind of like this on their first month. They recorded 6 years. So you can see at this time we have 5 years. They recorded 6 years. Their first month of their first year had what we call a blue moon in the Gregorian calendar. Okay, so the first day of the month and the last day of the month is a full moon. It's kind of like this, okay? You see this one? This has a solar eclipse, okay, on day 1 and day 30. All right, so what I did is I started to look for a day that had a spring equinox and a pattern like this with a full moon very close proximity. Now, you can see how rare a blue moon is. This event is also very rare. Now, the closest thing I could find was 2014. However, the day of, the full moon, okay, the full moon comes at night, but the day I found closest to match that was March 16th. Yeah, March 16th, but then in this cycle, the day starts at when the sun goes down, so that's really the next day, March 17th, okay? March 17th is both the spring equinox, or the day of equal sunlight and darkness in Jerusalem, and it was a full moon. So it was the closest criteria I could find that was like the Dead Sea Scrolls, okay? That was the closest one I could find. Now, then what happens is the following day of equal daylight sunlight is day 364, okay? That would make the following day, day 1 in the calendar. So in 2014, the first day was March 19th. Okay, that was March 19th. Now, since March 19th, you can see we've lost a day. All right. Now, there's another amazing sign that took place where a comet passed through the star, Leo star Regulus. You can see Regulus here is in Leo. Well, on March 20th, 2014, this amazing thing happened where an asteroid actually covered this star. Happened on March 20th, 2014. I count that as an amazing sign of the beginning of the Enoch calendar. Okay? So again, up to this point, these are amazing signs pointing to these dates. Now, I have other videos where I show you all the confirmations of things happening in the news, and the signs in the heavens point to the absolute accuracy of the information I'm presenting to you. Okay? So, again, we have the feast. This is our Enoch calendar. Please get this. Now, what I want to do as well is, okay, we have 5 pages, right? Okay, so we have 5 pages of the Enoch calendar. Now, what I'm also going to do this year is I'm going to provide some supplemental information, some additional information of those of you that really follow this and that are really interested in many of the details of these other charts and other things, okay? Now, that's what I want to talk about a little bit now, is some other, I call these heavenly councils, or other things that you can watch for and learn in the Enoch calendar, okay? So you have a clock, you can find the day of the week. For most of you, just actually figuring out the day is a challenge. But then, if you want to see more of God's order, and then we have additional information like this, okay? Now this I'm providing as an additional chart, and these are other cycles, okay? So for example, you can see the number 2, 4, 5, 7, and 9, okay? Now what those are numbers that are divisible by 360, okay? So if you take 360 and you divide that by 2, that's 180 days. Now, these are prophetic days. So all these intervals in here, okay, you see these are all 180 days, okay, making that a prophetic year of 360 days. This is what Daniel talked about. A time is 1 year. Times is 2 years. A half a time is a half a year, or 6 months, or 180 days. This is very significant in the book of Esther. It gives us this time period here of 7 years, and Esther is brought before the king. Okay? Now, the other one is 4. If you divide 4, these have to do with the 4 seasons of a year, 91 days, and also 4 as it relates to north, south, east, and west, and this in this pattern. Okay, so this is the pattern again that we saw here, the pattern of 4. Okay, then we have the solar days that are added to months 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, we also have the lion, ox, man, eagle. We have white, red, black, pale. We have east, west, south, north, and we have 4 principal stars. The Persian called them royal stars. Okay, and those you can see here. Aldebaran is in Taurus, Regulus is in Leo, Antares in Scorpio, Fomalhaut in Aquarius. Okay, so these are the patterns and divisions. Like Enoch talked about the 4 angels and the divisions of 4. Okay. Now we also have 5. Now 5 is a council that 5 is divided by 360 72 times. Okay. So these are intervals of time where significant dates and feasts happen. So you have 72 days, 144 days, 216 days, 288 days, and it concludes with 360 days. Now this one starts from the 9th of Av. You'll see 2 of the councils here starting on 9th of Av. Now, starting on the 9th of Av, going 72 days, brings you to the 7th day of Tabernacles. So that's our 144-day count, okay? After that, it brings us to the 10th month and 3rd day, okay? And that's 216. Then after that, it's 288 days to Purim, okay, which is the 12th month and 15th day, which is coming up pretty soon, all right? And after that, it's 360 days to the 2nd month and the 27th day, and this is the day right at Christ's ascension, okay, which is right here. Now, these are also marked on the calendar with this kind of pinkish highlighter, okay? So there you can see it, and then actually the 28th day is Christ's ascension. So these come on critical dates, okay? You got the 9th of Av, okay? You got the 12th day of the 7th month. You got the 10th month and 3rd day, Purim, okay? And then Christ's ascension, okay? So that's this council. So what happens is judgments, things happen in these councils, guys. If you, I'm just going to say, if you watch for this, if you understand to look for, you might see these things. Now, another thing I want to explain to you is very exciting about the recent discoveries in the Dead Sea Scrolls that just came out, a week or 2 ago. It's essentially this, what you're looking at. What they did is they measured from Shavuot 50 days. So, when you get to Shavuot, when you get to the Feast of Weeks, you count 50 days. Well, they counted an additional 50 days after that, an additional 50 days after that, an additional days, 50 days after that, and they call them feasts of wine, oil, and wheat, okay? Now, the Dead Sea Scrolls and I discovered independently, but I found another way of doing the same thing is the 7 churches, because what happens is if you divide up the year, that's what this does, you can see it divides up the year by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then within those months, there are additional 7s. Okay. And here we're calling it the order. Now, the golden candlestick you see in Revelation, the 7 churches, each has a golden candlestick. Okay. And that's what we're calling a Revelation 7. You have Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. Okay, and now throughout the year, you can see those also can be observed as Philadelphia, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea, and then 50, which is Pentecost. You can see that falls in the 3rd month. Okay, now if this is a little confusing, I have other videos on this. Well, I'll take it a little slower for you to understand. But what I'm saying is the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I found this independently. Okay, I've been sharing this pattern for years, okay? But we just found out about it in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, the way that we've applied it is we have 7 churches. Each church is a menorah. Each menorah has 7 lamps. So 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, if we take those 49 times 7, it's 343. All right, and if we add an additional 7, which is an additional week of Shavuot, we have 50. So it's this 50 is the Jubilee. 50 is the Son of Man. The Son of Man standing in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. Okay, that's 350 days. Then we have the priests, or everyone had to appear in Jerusalem 3 times. Passover, Tabernacles, and 50 Shavuot. Okay, so if we add Passover, Tabernacles, 14 days, we have perfectly 364 days. So again, this is a heavenly council of the churches. Okay, again, this is on the calendar here. So for example, let me just show you what we just did on this. You can see 7. 7 is Laodicea. So basically, Laodicea from the Sabbath before Passover until the Sabbath, the 50th, at the Feast of Weeks. This whole time, guys, is a Sabbath. Okay, let me say that again. From the time of this weekly Sabbath, okay, just before Passover, you're counting 50 days, you're including unleavened bread, and you get to the Feast of Weeks, okay, which is 50. This whole time period is a Sabbath, okay? This whole thing is. And if you take this pattern and you keep going throughout the year, you see you have 1. This is Ephesus, okay? Then you go and you have 2. This is Smyrna, okay? Now, you may notice things in your life that relate to these 7 churches where you go through various judgments. That's why I'm pointing this out, okay? Now, there's another one I want to mention, and it's the cycle of 9. Okay, cycle of 9. So 9 times 40 is 360, and it works off this pattern. Okay, again, this one and this one start at the 9th of Av. All right, and how it works is this: is you start 9th of Av, you count 40 days, you come to the 6th month. Okay, so the 9th of Av, you can see there's a 9. So it's the 9th day, 09, of the 5th month. Then you have the 1-9. Okay, you have the 19th day of the 6th month. Then you have a 2-9, which is the 29th day of the 7th month. Okay, and then after that, you go to the 9th month, and you have the 9th day, okay, of the 9th month. 10th month, you have the 19th of the 10th month. Okay, so let's look at it here, what I'm showing you. So in the first month, you have the 9th day. In the second month, you have the, here it is, the 19th day. In the third month, you have the 27th day. Then you skip the 4th month, and then you go through again. So you can see right here, this cycle. Okay, this is the month, and this is the day. So the 5th day, or excuse me, the 5th month and the 9th day, the 6th month and the 19th day, the 7th month and the 29th day, etc. This is also a council. All right, I'm just presenting these things. If you're interested in following them, that's great. If you're not, that's fine. But these are just supplemental things that I'm providing for those that are interested in more details. Another detail is this here is the meaning of the name. So when we have the priests here in green, okay, these are their names. This is their order and sequence here in 1 Chronicles 24. So you have their name and the meaning of their name. As well, we're providing the singers and musicians, which are here, okay. This priest course, you have their name and the meaning of their name. So, for example, this is the 5th year. It's Nethaniah, and his name means Nathan, to give, okay, Jah. Okay, so to give to Jah. That's the 5th priest of singers and musicians in 1 Chronicles 25. Okay, so this is also a document I'll provide as a supplement to the main 5 pages. Okay, now as I conclude, I want to show you one other thing, and that is this. Okay, I showed you this chart before, but now this chart is something where I want to show you north, south, east, and west within the temple. Ezekiel's temple and New Jerusalem form this pattern. Okay, now when you measure New Jerusalem, when you measure the pattern, it also shows you time. I want to mention this real quick. And this is in Ezekiel. I forget the chapter, but the inner dimension of the wall is 90 cubits. That relates to 90 days. Okay. Now, as well, if you measure New Jerusalem, okay, New Jerusalem is 144 cubits. If you convert those cubits to meters, you have 91 meters. Okay, let's remember that there are 91 days. There are 90 prophetic days in each section, north, south, east, and west. Okay, so remember, there are prophetic days and literal days. Well, the literal days are coded in New Jerusalem. Okay, and the prophetic days are coded in Ezekiel's temple. All right, so that's why I want to show you this, and I wanted to show you this pattern here, because everything I'm showing you is divine order. I know it's a lot of information, and you may not follow all of that. That's okay. I'll put links to other videos and other things. But again, we have the 5 pages of the calendar. We're going to have some supplemental pages, which is also you can apply to not just 2018, but all the way back to 2014. All these things are perfect order and design of God's timing, okay? But we're doing this because the Lamb has released the seal, okay? Now we have the trumpets. Then we're going to have the bowls, okay? So, thanks for watching. Please watch the links in the description field. Please get the documents. And guys, watch and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all these things. In Yeshua's name, amen.